everything to see when people are open-minded and have their hearts open. Hi.
How you doing?
So what do you know about the cause?
Well, I don't really remember, but I have a little bit of conflict with that because, you know, the Bible says that we have dominion over the fish of the sea, the birds of, you know, the fowl in the air, and he told us that we really should use it to our advantage. So, I mean, there's a biblical, spiritual dilemma that I have. Animals is very cruel, but animals are meant for us. I mean, God says to have dominion over them. Yeah.
That's a good question. What does that mean?
Yeah, what does that mean? It's a very difficult question to answer.
Maybe, or maybe it's actually deceptively simple.
Well, tell me what your thought is.
Do you mind if I take this down?
Oh, yeah, please.
Oh, sure.
It's all bullshit.
So I would think that dominion over God's creatures would have an implication that we ought to take care of them, like that we ought to be the stewards of the earth.
I see that side of it. Yes, we need to take care of them.
Yeah.
But we also know that animals. I mean, it's a you know, there's a certain chain. You know, other animals survive. The predators have to have the animal and the meat to survive.
But they eat out of necessity, right?
I also don't believe that animals should be given growth hormone and all that other nonsense.
Yeah.
How to get around ethics. That's wrong, isn't it? You know? And you know, I'm a sinner just like everybody else. I have my faults, just like you do, and we all have our faults.
Yeah. So bring it back to what you see on the screen here. Do you think that these practices are something that are necessary again?
Think of it in the old days when the American farmer, he raised animals for existence, didn't he? To make, and he would be able to feed his family. There needs to be a balance, you know? I mean, do you need to eat a steak this big? You know, when I eat meat,
You don't need to eat a steak at all.
I have really cut back on my animal protein consumption. Progress, not perfection. It's such a hard question, you know. And then, what if all of a sudden we decide to stop eating meat? What is the farmer who raises cattle going to do?
Change industry-wise would be gradual. Farmers would be transitioned over to a plant-based food system.
Okay.
There's also a big growth in the vertical farming industry, which is using hydroponics. You can harvest like 3 times as often.
And what really upsets me is, you know, all the fruits, fruits and vegetables that we eat, they've been all the vitamins are out of them because we grow them too fast, and you know, and that's why people are sick all the time. And who makes money on that? The medical pharmaceutical, the profit of it.
Paying the farmer not to grow?
Yeah,
subsidizing, of course.
And that makes the price go up of food.
An electrical stimulator that causes him to ejaculate, and collect it from the front. It's sickening.
Yeah, it really is. This guy's a rebel.
Who? Oh, that's Dr. Michael Greger, yeah.
I bet the rest of the doctors hate him.
Well, the Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine.
Oh, wow.
It's a plant-based group of physicians.
Wow. You know, I mean, this whole epidemic we've gone through has brought a lot of truth out. Have you seen that? Anybody that's like out there telling the truth? Remember those couple doctors out in California when the COVID first came around, and they said that we need to get the herd immunity and blah blah, all this, and they were banned from YouTube. Anybody that's been telling the truth lately is getting banned by them. You know, there's something going on right now that's not good.
Censorship,
and that's not right. You know. At fucking Facebook, the only reason I use Facebook is I connect with some of my high school friends. Other than that, it's nonsense. Some of that, I don't participate in the political nonsense because you can't win an argument with stupid people, right?
Well, it's hard to win an argument online in general. It's hard to win an argument at all, period, right? Because if both people want to be right.
It's not really important to win an argument as long as, you know, you and I are listening to each other. And that's how we get intelligence, isn't it?
Would you agree, or? I mean, think about like circuses and zoos. How do you feel about those? Do you think it's cruelty to confine an animal and have people just for people's entertainment, just so people can kind of look and point at them and take pictures?
Yeah, when you think about it, it is cruel. Absolutely. Yeah. Those animals are meant to be free, just like we're meant to be free.
Right. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, freedom.
And those cows, for example, that heifer isn't consenting to becoming a cow, right? Maybe she doesn't, you know, she doesn't even know what's happening probably.
My dad during the Depression worked in the stockyards, and he had to slaughter animals, you know, because that was the only job he could get at the time. And well, he's passed, but he could not eat meat with a bone in it. It made him sick to the stomach.
That's very interesting.
Yeah, he could
very telling.
Only could eat hamburger, well cooked. Anything with blood in, wouldn't eat anything. A bloody piece of steak, which is, you know, the best way to have a steak. You know.
Why do you think that is? That
it sickened him.
Why do you think?
Because he saw the cruelty of the animals, and every time he would see a bloody piece of meat with a bone in it, it reminded him of the
victim, right?
The victim.
Yeah.
And he couldn't do that. Now he loved his burgers, okay, but they were well cooked, and he wouldn't even eat a steak. Anything had to be ground up, so it wouldn't remind him of the cruelty. I think that's what he was talking about.
So it just looked like some ground up substance. Yeah.
And then when he was in the army, he ate so many powdered eggs that he couldn't look a sunny side egg up to save his life. Every got to be well done scrambled. You know?
Have you ever thought about what an egg is?
Well, it's a life.
Well, I mean an unfertilized egg.
I don't know. I really don't know.
It's a hen's period. It's their menstrual period. Just think about it. The male chickens, they don't lay eggs.
Right.
So the males, you know what the industry does? They actually get swept up into a grinder, like a meat grinder, when they're fully conscious and alive. They just get conveyor belted into a macerator, which is like a wood chipper.
Yeah. Great. Isn't that nice?
First day of life. So yeah, that's why, you know, if you eat vegan, then you're pretty much guaranteed that no cruelty of an unnecessary nature took place. Obviously, we live in a non-vegan world. There are going to be deaths when it comes to harvesting different plants, but those are incidental. They're not intentional.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So I would say that doesn't have the same kind of vibration associated with it.
Yeah. Well, we need to get to some balance for all creatures on this earth to have a balance. And it reminds me, when I was a Boy Scout, I went up to Isle Royale, which is a big island on Lake Superior. And they had a moose population and a wolf population. And you know, as long as the humans didn't interact, the population always stayed stable. Mm-hmm. Now, all of a sudden they started killing the wolves, the moose are going to multiply.
Right.
And there won't be enough food for them.
Right. People complain about, well, hunters try to justify hunting. They say, well, there's, you know, tons of deer. If we don't kill them, they'll overpopulate. But we decimated the populations of their predators.
We took away their land. Because we're building all this, and where do they go?
Yeah. You know, in fact, the best argument can be made that if we just let dogs be dogs and let them breed naturally and stopped inflicting medical violence on them by neutering and spaying them, and we just let dogs and cats breed, they could serve as the principal protein source of flesh for humans if people were willing to eat dogs and cats, because 2/3 of the dogs and cats that are euthanized in shelters are actually fed to farmed animals. So if people really want to be eco-friendly, if they're going to be meat eaters, they should be eating dogs and cats.
I don't think I would go for that. I don't like anything that's got a gaming.
But I mean, the thing is, you also know that they're killed in the most humane way possible, because nobody wants to send their dog or cat to a slaughterhouse to be humanely killed, right? Like, people say it's humane the way that those animals are slaughtered, but we only would be content with a needle in the arm if we had to let one of our friends go.
Remember, did you ever watch the movie Soylent Green?
No. I've heard of it though.
Check that movie out.
Okay.
You'll be amazed at the end of it. Soylent Green, I think it was in the 70s. It's about a futuristic society where we were running out of food. I'm not going to tell you anymore.
Okay.
Green, okay? It's a classic.
I think I heard something about it. They make everybody eat some green goop or something like that.
Yeah, and I'm not going to tell you anymore.
Okay.
You have to watch the movie and you'll be amazed.
Okay.
What the green goop is.
Okay. I think that's what everybody's really doing is following orders.
You're a radical thinker like me.
Well, we need this world needs, you know, peaceful warriors and thinkers. Yeah.